Good evening. The work session meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Education will come to order. Good evening, and thank each of you for joining us. Please remember to mute your electronic devices. A majority of the voting members of this board, which is of 4, shall constitute a quorum for a meeting of our Board of Education. There are 7 members present. I declare that our quorum is present. The agenda was emailed earlier. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda by unanimous consent, that is without a voice vote or a roll call. Is there objection? Is there objection? Hearing no objection, the agenda is adopted. This evening, we are going to receive as information several items, and at this time, we are going to take them in order of the way they're presented on the agenda. Volkert, Inc. will give us an update. We welcome Mr. Glenn Slater.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, Dr. Brown. This is our monthly update for the capital improvement program. Our monthly highlight project this month is the South Lawn Middle School Gymnasium addition. Architect is Expert and Associates, is a MBE-DBE architect out of Birmingham, and our project manager on this project is Zach Rumpf with KWZ. Zach's been with us, since we started the assessments a year and a half ago. This is an overall view of the campus at South Lawn Middle School. The new gymnasium will be to the left of the front entrance. Mobile Highway, or Highway 31, is at the bottom of the page here. The project scope is a connector that's an internal connector from the existing foyer vestibule as you walk in. And it'll have a concessions lobby with ticketing and restrooms, an 84 by 50 foot basketball court, which is actually high school size. The floor markings for competition volleyball, electric bleachers for 600. Basketball goals will also be electric to where they can be lifted up when we're playing volleyball or some other function going on. We have a PE coach's office space, athletic laundry equipment, and a nice size weight room for training. This is the overall floor plan. It's not the whole school, but it gives you the idea of where things are. Here toward the center bottom is the entry and existing office space, which will be here. The green is your connector corridor that's coming from the main existing vestibule. The top portion that's kind of salmon colored is the weight room, and then the big blue box is the gymnasium court, and the lavender rooms there is the locker rooms and laundry area. This is just an enlarged portion of it here. You can see how the lobby that has the concessions and such in it. This concessions area also will have a viewing window inside the concessions, so the parents or boosters that are working the concessions can actually enjoy seeing the game too, instead of being trapped out in the lobby area and not being able to see anyone. This is a rendering from you would be standing on Mobile Highway or coming in from the Mobile Highway side. You got the front entrance there. You'll notice the round windows on the exterior on the side there, or they kind of imitate volleyballs and basketballs. that shows the windows a little better. It's an interior view. The laundry area. And then the weight room. The drawings are at the DCM right now for its second review. They submitted them and had a few comments that they needed to address. They've taken care of all the comments and have resubmitted to DCM, expecting to have approval from them any day, you know, in the next week or two. We had penciled in May 18th as a bid date, but we're not going to make that. We've got to get approval and do a formal pre-bid conference, and it'll probably be another 2 weeks beyond that. Got a tentative notice to proceed for construction. I see no reason that we'll be able to beat this fall of '23 start. We ought to be able to start in July. Maybe it might drag out to August, but I'm expecting June to July start. It's part of our minority participation reporting. Our professional services fees right now are at $21.3, and almost 10.9 of that is going to MBE, DBE professional services. That concludes our monthly update. Do we have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Slater. Are there questions?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I
Ms.
just
Keith.
wanted to
Dr.
ask,
Keith.
are these gymnasiums similar to the other gymnasiums with the circles and all that kind of stuff?
I'm not sure about ones with circles. You're talking about the windows?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure of any that you have here that have circles in them.
Yeah, but I thought we were adding more gymnasiums to different schools.
Those would have been elementary schools. This is a
Oh,
middle
okay,
school.
okay.
And this particular architect, you know, it's really a window that is a piece of storefront window that he is able to do in round. And if you ever gone through downtown Birmingham, just north of the 65 2059 interchange, there's a community center on the right called Fountain Heights, and it has the same thing. It's the same architect as one of his things on the gymnasium.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we will have information received on youth and government as an elective course. Ms. Nancy Boyd.
Hello, my name is Nancy Boyd, and I am a proud graduate of Montgomery Public Schools, and I work for the YMCA of Greater Montgomery, and I work at the Britton Y. We have a program that's called Youth in Government, and what Youth in Government is, it is an extracurricular activity that allows students to participate in government activities, from Youth in City to Youth Legislature to Youth Judicial, to national programs that include CONA, which is a conference on national affairs that's run by us here in Montgomery, to national judicial competition that happens in Minnesota. The program will be 75 years old next year, and the program used to be run completely out of community centers and clubs and Y events. What's happened is, over time, the state government allowed us in 2016 to allow this as an elective credit. So instead of sociology or psychology, they have the opportunity to present and participate in experiential learning outside of the class. But what having it as a class does, it allows for teachers like Ms. Price and Mr. Cox to have these students during the day, to prepare them for the activities and the programs, but it doesn't conflict with athletics or any other programs like choir that they may have to practice after school. It also makes them competitive with the other schools that have the law academies, but you don't need a law academy to do youth in government. The elective, as you see here, was allowed to be put in the code in 2016. We already have the class code that it's for. It's 140 days. It says a certified teacher. It doesn't say it has to be a certified history teacher. It says a certified teacher. And if you look at the actual code and you look at the program, it covers standards in English, it covers standards in career technology, it covers standards all over the board. So if there may not be a history teacher that could serve as a certified teacher, there could be another teacher that can go in its stead. And we actually have the code that puts it as a general social studies elective. Thank you to Dr. Harris, who's been great with working with me on all this. So it's already there. It's already ready to do. In the fall semester, we have different events and activities that they can participate in. Youth Judicial Regionals, Person of the Year, Youth Legislature Districts. So with this class, each school can actually define their curriculum based on the affordability of the curriculum for their students and the accessibility to attend their programs based on who they have. But all of these students have the opportunity to attend national and regional competitions. And all of the state conferences actually happen here in Montgomery at the State House and at the Federal Court Building. We actually have had a couple students, Elise Barr, who attends JD. She got to go to DC in February as a national advocate for the Y. So she got to participate in that. And then I listed some of the other students that have had access to go to some of the national conferences. Why do we need the course? I did the course as an extracurricular activity as a student, as a cheerleader, as a smart kid that did magnet school and everything else. Kids need a break, and sometimes that break comes during the day. What is wrong with learning how to preside over a city council meeting or preside over a school board meeting as a class? What is wrong with learning how to advocate for yourself as a class? The class teaches you how to take information, take everything that you know, and advocate for yourself. And that stays with you all the way through school. And so the other part of this is if it's a class, those schools that have Title I, they can use it as part of their curriculum to support kids attending the events and doing the functions. I don't know if Mr. Cox is here, but Mr. Cox and JD does a great job of doing fundraisers and other events to supplement attending these conferences and these different events. So it has a way to work, but it also costs $1,500 to $2,500 for these students to attend the program. The YMCA makes sure that even if a kid can't afford to come, we supplement it. So we supplemented a lot of what JD and BTW and some of the other schools needed, but if you have it as an elective, we give more access to more students at the same time. And the difference between the Law Academy and the elective. A lot of people are like, oh, we need a Law Academy. It's not the same thing. The Law Academy has its own curriculum that's designed by the state that's similar to what BTW has, so they have their own curriculum that you have to follow as a Law Academy. As an elective course, all the traditional schools will have access. Even if it's not a traditional school, they can have access, and we help them develop that curriculum that fits the needs of the students and the needs of the teacher in that course. And they don't have to know about law to teach it. Here in Montgomery, the Frank Johnson Institute trains 120 teachers for free on how to teach judicial and law in the system. We also have other programs that are designed to just do advisors. When I did the program, it wasn't a teacher. It was a parent that wanted to volunteer at a community center. So, here are the current schools that we have participating: BTW, Carver, Jeff Davis, and Lamb. We also have middle school feeder programs, and those are some of the schools that have participated. And a lot of the other schools are interested. It's just making it easier for the principals and the students to access the course and not have to worry about if they are fitting all the guidelines, meeting all the standards, and doing everything that they need to do. Questions?
Thank
Yes,
you
ma'am,
very
Dr.
much.
Keith.
I'm sorry.
That's
I just-
okay, Dr. Keith.
I just want to give Miss Boyd a shout out. She comes out to Success Unlimited all the time, and you'll never meet anybody with such energy. And I don't know if this is anything like youth legislature. That's what I was in, and I just think it's a wonderful program, and I thank you. I just thank God that we're blessed to have you. So thank you.
Okay. Ms. Cloud?
Thank you. I wanted to say thank you for incorporating the Frank Johnson Court Chamber, that tour, it is so important that our children understand civics and right of duty to hold true to your community. Thank you so much. Please continue to take the kids down there. It's so important. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Watkins-Smith?
Yes, I'm actually going to speak from a parent perspective. My son participated in it in his high school years at Brutech, so when I saw the name missing, but I know the history behind it. But it is a wonderful program. My son went through it. He thrived. He was youth mayor. He was a part of youth government, youth leg, you name it, went to everything. And I think even came back to train a couple of times with people. So I've just seen, and I can just speak from a parent with a kid who's more so in the books, but plays tennis. I always have to put that out there. But he really kind of opened up, so it does give the children an opportunity to not just be a part of it, but to explore who they are. as an individual, give them the confidence they need to go out and advocate, which is what my son loved the most about it. But I can go truly on and on. It was a wonderful project, and I'm glad to see it come to us as an elective.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes, thank you for the information. My question is, you were going kind of fast and I was trying to read. So would this be available to all schools?
It would be available to all schools. So the state passed it where as long as the school board says, yes, we want it, any school that wants to adopt it can adopt it as an elective.
Okay, and the funding, you were saying it could be supplemented for the various,
So there's multiple ways. If it's a class, then if you don't have Title I, the Y, we'll try to supplement that for kids. We give the advisors a whole system that includes fundraisers and stuff like that. But if you're at a Title I school, because it's a class, you now can use Title I funds to supplement what's happening in that academic area.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there other questions? Thank you again, Ms. Boyd. The next report comes from Mr. Chad Anderson, our facilities update.
Good evening, Dr. Brown, President Coleman, Vice President Brown, and members of the board. If you'll look at your spreadsheet with me, the operations update. Volkert has already shared their report. Looking at the central office consolidation, if you've driven by Union Street here recently, you've seen a lot of activity. The project trailer was moved out yesterday. Binder has been down for a little while now. They've started wrapping the chases up the side of the building that house the HVAC ductwork. Cleanup has started inside the building, and they're wrapping up the inside details of that. The construction part should wrap up on the 3-story building on the left-hand side of Union Street here before the end of the month. And then we've got substantial completion with DCM to walk through set for the first part of June, and hopefully we're also putting down that wear layer of asphalt and painting and fixing those things up, so we'll be ready to move sometime the first part of June, middle part of June, with furniture coming in around that time as well. So that would be that side of the building. That would house Bellinger Hill and this building, 307 Decatur. Across the street on the east side where the building that burned was, that building is for Fuse. We've gone over that before. That is going well. Was in there yesterday. They were spraying the first coat of primer on the walls inside, so that is moving really, really well, moving fast, and anticipate that finishing up earlier as well. It's set for probably the end of June, first part of July, but I think they'll probably definitely meet that timeline. And again, working with the city on the asphalt, they did really well for us and coming through on the other part, so I know they'll do a good job with that as well. The BTW construction update, again, if you've been by Bell Road recently in the last week, you're really starting to see that site work take place down on that south end. Most of your curb and gutter is in. We're slated for asphalt binder on that south end around the 15th here, so very soon, here in the next week or so. Barring any kind of weather issues, they really have ramped up in the core curriculum area and are starting to put the sheetrock mud up, and we're getting ready for first coat of paint coming in that pretty soon here as well. We anticipate substantial completion in the Magnet Arts towards the end of this month. Approximately 2 weeks after that, we're going to try to hit the cafeteria for substantial completion, and then 2 weeks after that would be try to hit core curriculum. They're really trying to push core curriculum to get that with cafeteria. That would be ambitious, but we're shooting for that as well. And then sometime towards the end of June, first part of July, we're shooting for substantial completion on the athletic facility. So that one may push us just a little bit, depending on getting the HVAC fired up and putting that wood flooring down and some of the other coatings that go inside. But we feel really good about where we are with that project, and it is really ramped up. Goodwin HVAC Phase 2 has begun. I know you can't see it yet because it's on the inner courtyard, but maintenance removed the old oak trees that were kind of pushing into the building and on top of the roof there, so we removed those. We're going to replace the awning that goes in between the two buildings there because we had to take part of that down, but it really needed to be replaced, and do some concrete repair work on the sidewall that goes across. They've got their processes down, so I expect the phases to really ramp up in there, and I'll be sending you some progress photos on that as well. Brewtech HVAC, we've started up Phase 5. So, excuse me, they've finished up Phase 5. We've started up Phase 6, and that's moving really well. Went out there today, spoke with the assistant principal. He was there, and they're working on the next phases, trying to keep that going and keep that rolling and stay ahead of schedule of that as well. The logistics roof and renovation is complete. Just a few little button-up items. They were waiting on some of the metal for the roof, but the interior renovations are complete. McKee re-roof is complete, so I went by there today, and it is complete. Fitzpatrick is well underway. It's probably about 30%, I would say, of tear off and put back, so somewhere in between 20 to 30%, but they're moving really fast. There's the same contractor that did MLK is doing Fitzpatrick, and they finished MLK within 3 weeks with the good weather and working 13-hour days and 6-7 days a week, so they're working on knocking that out quickly. Vaughn Road and Wares Ferry, we had a little bit of an issue with some of their bonding information. They had to clean some of that up. We expect them to start any day on those and working those two roofs. It's the same company, so they're going to start on one and then move to the other. J.D. Danley Roof and Replacement, we're done with any kind of tear off. They're just putting everything back, and it is moving well as also. The Baker Intermediate HVAC renovation, they did a coordination meeting a week or so ago and kind of got their phases together with the principal there. What they'll do this summer is really work on tearing out the drop ceiling, redoing that, and we'll do lighting as we go. And then as soon as the summer program finishes, they'll jump in on some of the interior HVAC mechanical rooms and start working on some of the air handlers that are in there. And they feel like if they can get those pieces done, most of your access to the mechanical rooms in Brubaker Primary and Intermediate are from the outside, so they wouldn't disrupt school as far as that. We'll bring in portables to kind of take over where we're ripping out and pulling and putting in equipment during that time, but each phase would probably be somewhere between 2 to 3 weeks to get that up and running. And then Brubaker Primary is coming fast behind that and working with Mr. Watts on that to make sure our ESSER funds hold up for it, and we'll move as far as we can with the funding we're provided on those things. The BTW traffic light, met with them last week on site with the architect, and they've got things in place. They've got the poles ordered. They're set for a late July delivery, so what we're going to do is set up temporary poles and have it strung up. We coordinated with the city as well. They're going to assist us to make sure we have something up and running for the first part of school, and then as the permanent stuff comes in, they'll just come in and swap it out. Should be a pretty quick swap. The long part of it they're going to put in with running the wires and pouring the footings and that sort of thing for the poles and lights out there, but we're pushing them hard to make sure we have lights up running for the first part of school, and security is making provisions to make sure they're on site for the first part of that to kind of ease that traffic into existence out there, that traffic pattern that's there. The last piece there, and I'll stop here to let you ask any questions, and we'll go into the Carver High School.
I did notice that. Thank you very much. Of these first items, are there questions? Ms. Brown?
Yes. Are we okay with the schedule for BTW? I'm a little nervous when you talk about moving into July.
That's just the athletic facility there, of working on those pieces. We're anticipating being able to start moving some furniture in, hopefully towards the middle or end of June into July. We'll be fast and furious kind of setting up. I want the whole month of July to really set up that Magnet Arts core curriculum cafeteria with those things, with furniture and all, get that settled, and then let those teachers be able to come over and kind of get set up.
And the teachers start back in August, first part of August, okay. I was just, I'm nervous.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, I am too.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, as in the ceiling renovations like at Brubaker Intermediate.
Correct.
And you said that you would be working on the lighting. Are we switching over to the energy efficient lighting, in the school every time we start to do a ceiling?
Yes, when we do HVAC, what we've tried to do is come in and do a total LED retrofit. And we've started on the west side with some of our buildings like Katoma and MLK. We've already done that swap over with LED lights inside and out. So we're trying to move our way from west to east, but then also these projects where we're doing HVAC, full renos, we're coming in and doing LED lights as well.
Okay, good. So we have a system in place
Yes,
for
ma'am.
the
The only snag we found is Brutech. The lighting that's in there, the fixtures are super expensive. So it was about 3 times more to try to look at doing Brutech's LED lighting than JD's lighting, which JD is probably 5 times the size of Brutech. So those are some really expensive fixtures. That's one of the things that I think Volkert will attest to. I want efficient lighting that's good. I don't need fancy fixtures, and we try to rein in those architects with that.
So I just have one
Yes,
other
ma'am.
question. If we are concerned about the expense on the energy efficient, do we have a plan in place to replace them if anything goes bad with the
Yes, ma'am.
the current lighting?
We don't typically do light bulbs. Like if we have any
Right,
of these fixtures go
right.
out, we put LED fixtures in because it's almost the same cost and you get much more payback on the LED fixtures. So we're going anytime these 2x2s or 2x4 lights go out, we're definitely replacing those with LED fixtures. And what we'll do with Brutech, once we find the fixture we like, we'll phase it so that we're not trying to absorb a huge cost all at once. Because we still have some major like roofs and different things that we're trying to get done.
Yes, Ms. Smith?
Really just more so a comment and a thank you. Most of you board members don't know, but Chad Anderson actually came out to some of the schools. BTW was one, as well as Brubaker Primary. And so just sharing with them some of the updates as well for parents who couldn't be there. And I do want to thank the both PTAs. They kind of put that together so that the parents who don't get the opportunity to attend board meetings or watch it, but Chad came and gave them an update. So just on behalf of all those schools and PTAs, just thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And the final item on the operations updates was in regard to Carver High School, 9th grade academy and Fieldhouse addition.
Yes, ma'am.
Please continue.
What this is a request for approval for a letter of recommendation to award the low bidder for the Carver 9th grade academy and Fieldhouse additions at the existing Carver High School site. So you have those documents with bid tabulation, and this will allow us to enter into a contract with that low bid amount.
Thank you again. Are there questions regarding the letter of recommendation here? Hearing no questions, we thank you. The next item on our agenda is the CI Solutions Services Agreement. Ms. Patterson, thank you.
Dr. Coleman, Dr. Brown, this contract is to approve the purchase of ID badges for all of our students. Our ID badges will enhance our security, streamline some of our school processes, as well as provide us safety for our students, both while in school as well as at after-school events. The cost for the badges are roughly about $4.18 per student per badge. In addition to printing the badges, the initial set of badges, and shipping those badges to the schools, the company will also provide cameras and printers for the schools to print badges that may be lost by the students. These are RFID badges. They will also have barcodes and QR codes on them.
Thank you. Are there questions? Dr. Keith?
I wanted to ask, I mean, I was looking at the quantity, and you have, it's like 32,400.
Sure.
Is that extra amount? Because I'm looking at 26, 27, maybe 28,000 students. Is that in case they lose it, and will they have to pay, the $4 if they lose it? How's that go?
That's exactly what it is. It's the additional badges for any lost or misplaced badges that need to be printed. So we'll get additional supplies for the schools.
That's what I wanted to ask, you know, children responsibility. Are we gonna do like library books? Are we gonna charge them a minimum amount to pay for the replacement of the badge, or we just gonna, how's that gonna work?
Yeah, we're still working through what the policy looks like for that and how much we will be able to charge, if we can charge for those replacements.
And as much as I love middle school and high school kids, sometimes they swap badges. How are you gonna make sure that that stays with the right child?
So that'll be, work that we'll have to work with our schools on, making sure that, you know, each child has the correct badges.
Thank you.
Those are processes that we will have to work through.
Additional questions? Seeing none? Thank you very much, Ms. Patterson. Our next report is the McGraw-Hill Professional Services Agreement. Dr. Pelton?
Good evening, Dr. Brown, Madam President, members of the board. So I'm going to talk to you about the professional services agreement for Open Court K-5, our reading series. The PD agreement is for our teachers, our local reading specialists, and our administrators. The administrator training will be quarterly. They will go through a process of learning the main features, the resources, and tools to monitor implementation. Our local reading specialists will go through quarterly training, content deepening, classroom modeling, and coaching strategies. And our teachers will have an initial training. These will be grade span. K1 would be a grade span 2, 3, and 4, 5. These trainings will happen at the beginning of school. After that, they will receive coaching support and additional trainings at their school. Our CSI schools will receive monthly training and coaching support with the Open Court Reading Specialist. This will be paid for out of Title I CSI 4120 funds. Our other 21 schools will receive quarterly training with coaching support, and this will be paid for out of ESSER 3, the state reserve. Our Open Court Reading Specialists are providing the PD supports, and for our local reading specialists, we're working with ARI, our OSI specialist, to help align all supports together. Our specialists will be shadowing the reading coaches, so we can basically grow our own experts, so we don't have to continue to pay for professional services. Any questions?
Thank you. Questions?
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ms. Cloud.
Thank you. Who's gonna do the twirl to come back and look to make sure that we're not having any hiccups, that we're in place, we're doing, because McGraw-Hill is the curriculum that we chose to use that's assigned by the State Department.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do we know it's being done to fidelity? You know that word, I love that word, but it's important, it's very important. Who's gonna do the come back around the twirl?
Well, our district staff, we do our walkthroughs, so this would be evident in our walkthroughs.
Thank you.
I'd have a comment. I'm just glad that, I know you used to be with the state, I think, and I'm just glad you've come to NPS.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
definitely an asset.
All right, thank you. I stayed within my time. Any other questions? All
Thank you.
right, thank you, guys.
The next report is Common Lit, Inc., Professional Services and Educational Materials, presented by Dr. Harris.
Good evening, Madam President, Superintendent Brown, and board members. Common Lit is an online platform that we're currently using. I requested for the history classes, but it can be used with all the 4 cores. And what it is a library of text and poems and all types of things that we're using to increase reading comprehension. as I was observing my history teachers during the year, one of the things I noticed was that they're not using complex text. So Common Lit gives them a library that actually supplies this for them. Common Lit also did a standards alignment for us, so 6 through 12 history, they have went in and aligned all of the passages with our standards, so the teachers have an array of variety to choose from when it comes to implementing complex text into their classrooms. It can be used two ways. There's the online platform that grades itself. It also has a writing component. The teachers are able to grade the writing through a rubric. Then there's also the downloading. And so since we actually fully implemented in December, we've had an increase in digital assignments online has increased by 800%. The lessons downloaded per week, this is where teachers are downloading the assignments, giving it to the kids. They're doing close readings, guided readings, small group. It has increased by 250% since we implemented fully in December. So I did request it for history, but it can be used across all of the core content. Everything is, they have reading comprehension, they have writing components, and there's also an assessment that we can use also as well, where they do a pre-assessment, a mid-assessment, and they also do a post-assessment. And so that can be used as well, just to kind of give our teachers a better understanding of where our students are reading. We tend to know where our kids are when it comes to K through 5, but when we get to middle school through high school, we kind of have to guess where they are. This will kind of help us decrease the guessing, kind of get a better understanding of where our students really are when it comes to reading in the secondary schools.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have one question.
Dr. Kay.
Did the teachers, this may be a dumb question, but did they have access to the test prior to them getting it? They know what's on it. I'm not trying to say that they teach to the test, but they do know what's on that test and can put that in their curriculum. It's not
The
like a
pre-assessments?
surprise.
The
isn't it?
pre-assessments, I'm not sure how to check on that, but they do have access. Everything else they can download ahead of time.
Well, one thing I'm sorry, was there anyone else?
Yes, you go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. We're doing this now for 3 years.
Yes, ma'am.
We've got that contract. How are we training the teachers to use this? We increase 800%. Are we making sure that, and you said it's across the board with the history teachers, but if another group of teachers want to use it, how are we getting them trained to, instead of them groping through for their training, their PD?
They actually provide online training, as well as I've been pretty much well trained on the system, so I can happily provide training to anyone else across the district. And there's a dashboard that we can look at to see just how well the usage is going across the district. Look down at student grades and how they're progressing. And that's one of the good things. You can see the progression throughout the year. The teacher started it in August, and we can see where they're when it comes May.
Will
I-
we be
I
given
would-
the data, like after that, will we know what schools are using it?
Yes. You get the dashboard tells you the top 10 schools that are using it. It tells you the top 10 passages that are being used. Yes, so it goes down even to the teacher, how many classes she has, and which classes she's using it in, he or she is using them in.
Ms. Harris, I would love to hear like a quarterly report to see if it's being used, and I'm so excited, 800% increase. You couldn't ask for any better than that.
No.
I think we all had pretty similar concerns. You talked about having ordered it for history, but how are we marketing it now that we know how successful it can be?
Yes.
We are marketing it to the other core courses.
Yes, ma'am. I've told them already that it's across the board. All of the courses can use it. There's more ELA and more history items than there are math, but there are some science items. But I also can get with them, and they can actually do an alignment for probably science. ELA is going to be a little more difficult because of their standards, but I can contact them to see if we can do an alignment for science like they did with history.
I would love to see the science and because that combines both math and reading
Yes,
and
ma'am.
language arts, so that's wonderful.
Any additional questions?
I have
Yes.
one. So if I'm understanding you right, you're saying in the dashboard, you can look at a particular school and see the usage. So even if a teacher doesn't ask and is not using, you would know that.
Yes,
You would
ma'am.
be able to.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Harris. At this time, Ms. Wilson will come forth to discuss Curriculum Associates Professional Development Services as well as iReady Partner Services.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Brown, members of the board. I have a few contracts that I'm going to talk about this evening. I'm going to start with our vendor, Curriculum and Associates. Under that area, we have 3 different contracts. The first one I want to start with is our renewal contract with grades 6 through 8. So iReady is our diagnostic that we use, our universal screener. I think we approved that contract right before school started, I believe maybe in August, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just kind of started. We use that 6-8 for math and reading. Not only is it our diagnostic and a criterion referenced assessment, it's also state approved. So it's on the state approved vendor. We use that to personalize our instruction. Teachers can get an idea of where students are. We have standard mastery assessments that we use as well. So it's a renewal for grades 6, 8, and that would be math and reading. The second contract that we have is for grades K-5. We're using, so the state, through the Numeracy Act, came up with a list of vendors that we had to choose in order to continue with our progress monitoring for grades K-3. We developed a committee of principals to vet each vendor that was approved by the state to choose from. From that, we chose iReady as our early math diagnostic. Not only did our principals feel that it was best fit for our students, but it also, we have a nice transition from elementary to middle, and we can speak the same language when we look at our students' growth. So that would be paid through ESSER funds. Also, the state will reimburse some monies for the program for K-3. 4-5, it's that middle grade. We really want to make sure we support them. They're going to also use iReady for math and reading. The state will not provide funding for the 4-5, but obviously we need to make sure that we're still using a universal screener and watching their progress. So they'll be using iReady as well. Any questions with those two? I'm going to keep moving forward, but just
Ms.
I would
Mitchell.
just like to say that as a matter of fact, I was able to actually look at the iReady program at McKee, and it was really important to see that it tracks the number of hours that a student stays on a program. And you may have a student that will come in reading at second grade level in middle school, and then you can see the work that I was able to see the work that that student had done, and they moved from second grade reading to fifth grade reading in a matter of time. And it was just excellent at the way, and you could also see those students who didn't put in the hours, they did not progress as far. So these are things that teachers can track. You know, the A grade or the B grade that you get doesn't determine just what a student knows. And we want to make sure that when our students leave middle school, that they are ready to go to high school. And in this program, I was truly impressed with.
Yes, I'm excited that we're adopting it now in our elementary levels.
Doesn't iReady support IEP and special sped?
So it is individualized to the student's needs. So wherever their instructional level is, there is an individualized portion of that. Not only that, but there is a teacher toolbox with a wealth of resources. The teacher can use the data, can look at the dashboard, and pick the area that the student needs support in, and there's lessons in the teacher toolbox already made, ready for the teacher to include in the small group instruction in the classroom.
Thank you. I just think that's so important that we support that too.
Ms. Portis.
I have two things. One, from what Ms. Mitchell said, we've had programs before where children log on and it shows that they're on. But is iReady different where if they're not active, it will let you know they're not active?
Yes, so iReady, it really houses lots of different tools and resources. So one of them is a diagnostic, but there's that other side there's the individualized pathway where the students are on and they're working at their level. There's another part that does standard mastery assessments. So you can push out standard mastery assessments to students and see how they're performing at grade level. And then finally, the teacher can see when a student is rushing. It'll send an alert. It'll send an alert when someone is not performing at a level and they have reached their zone, what we call just a zone of frustration, and the teacher needs to come in and to support. So I would say that it's not just a tool that you would just put a student on.
Yeah, and just stay on that. Another point, I noticed they expire on the 31st. Is that right? Or am I looking at?
Which one?
Valid through, do these contract terms end at the end of this year, this calendar year?
So we're renewing
So it would run until?
the next 3 years, I think. Is it two?
Yes, it-
1 year for K3. So we have 1 year for K3, 3 years for 6-8. K3 is because it was state, that came from the state, and we want to make sure that they continue to use that vendor next year. Yeah.
See, it says contract term implementation starting 2023, valid through 12/31/2023. It says valid through 12/31/2023.
Okay, we'll probably have to look at that. But no, it should be, the
Oh.
K3 one is a year.
Yeah, all three of them say that it's completed 12/31/2023.
Okay.
But Ms. Wilson, though, would
It
you,
says
clarify,
31.
what, Ms. Porter said? Does it alert you that they're not on, if they're just sitting there with a screen, will it alert the teacher that they're just sitting there?
It'll tell you how much time on task. So, and it'll also tell you how many questions the student might answer. So if I'm on task for 30 minutes and or if I'm on the program for 30 minutes, but I've only answered 10%, then you know that the student is not,
Because in the professional development piece, it's important that they don't substitute learning for this. Not to sit a child on a computer, but to implement this with the regular training, right?
If I'm not mistaken, I think the quote is valid through December of '23, not the actual contract.
Oh, the quote, okay.
Contract term,
Yeah, the quote.
the contract,
should
doesn't
be
say
dates
quote,
on
it says contract term.
That's on our document. On the contract itself, it says quote.
Okay, as long as we got it going past
Mhm.
the December 31st, and New
Gotcha.
Year's done hit, and we don't
good.
have anything.
Okay, Ms. Wilson, Amplify.
Yep, I have one more contract. So there's, for curriculum and associate, there's another one for professional development. And that is, it's not a renewal, but we've already used professional development for 4 schools for the 2022-2023 school year. The priorities of that professional development is specific to administrative coaching, and it works to help coaches understand how to use data in their building. We've also been able to utilize our academic coaches as well as our assistant principal. And I've actually been able to sit through some of those meetings. iReady is very supportive in making sure that we identify the strengths that are specific to each student and maximize those strengths while developing programs to reach students where they need support. The goal is with elementary principals now being able to use also iReady, that we'll be able to have train-the-trainer models and use our principals as support for the elementary schools as well.
Are you talking about Amplify?
I'm talking about curriculum associates.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's the professional development, that's the 200,000. Sorry, we were trying to get on
Get you on
track.
that.
No problem.
We're
I
good.
misled you.
You did.
We're good.
All right.
Sorry, we're having a little convo on this thing, sorry, I'm moving this.
We're all educators here, no problem.
Look, there it is.
We're good, thank
Okay.
you.
The next item is Amplify. So Amplify is also through our Alabama Literacy Act. It is the approved early literacy screener, formerly known as DIBELS. So you might be more familiar with that.
Okay.
We had the same committee. We had to choose vendors. We had our committee of elementary principals who were very instrumental in helping us choose what they feel is best for our students. And so we have chosen Amplify to support early literacy. And that is a universal screener.
And I don't see any attachment to that, so do you that a state requirement?
Yes, so that is our state it is one of the options that we have for the screener for early literacy.
So basically, amplifies is Dibbles.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Any other questions regarding Amplify? Hearing no other questions, we thank you. Now we are ready to hear about the GPS Ed services. Mrs. Davita Hill Johnson.
Good evening
Good evening.
to Madam President, our Superintendent, Dr. Brown, and our distinguished board members. I come to you asking for approval for our partnership with GPS Educational Services. Previously, GPS has worked with Garrett Elementary School and Carver High School. So now we are extending and expanding our partnership because we want to increase parental engagement within our feeder pattern schools and where we see the greatest need is. We also want to make sure that we create transitional bridge programs throughout the summer so that students that are leaving elementary school, coming to middle schools, they are orientated for middle school, and not only that, that during that summer transitional program, that we recover some of that learning loss. Also, with students leaving middle school, going into high school, we want to make sure that we create that transitional bridge to make sure that those students for Carver that are attending the ninth grade academy, and then as we increase that parental engagement with our other schools, that we have those across all of our feeder pattern high schools. But we also want to improve those homeschool connections, and what GPS will do, they will work with school leadership. They will be boots on the ground, going out into the community so that we can engage parents where they are, so that we could build that relationship to bring them back into the school in positive lights.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Are there
Yes.
questions, Ms.
Please,
Cloud?
I'm sorry, parent engagement, how are we gonna know when they go out to, are we gonna have reports about how this is working with engaging the parents? I'd like to hear more about that, because if it works for this, it might work for everything.
Yes, ma'am.
And also it says truancy, how's that helping with the truancy?
So part of some of those homeschool connection issues, you have students that have chronic absenteeism. So when you go out into homes and you sit down and you survey parents and you meet them where they are with their needs, they not only are working with those particular students, but they are also providing additional resources that that family may need. They also have an extensive report that they would be able to come back and provide on updates as far as intervention, as far as the bridge program, and then as far as the number of parents that they've engaged. They also incentivize parents to be a part of the school community and teach them ways of proper engagement in doing that.
And is this just for a select group of children, or is it gonna be on parents, or is it gonna be across the board?
It's going to be within that particular feeder pattern for the students that the principals have identified that's coming for those transitional bridge programs. So for example, it would be your sixth graders for middle school. For high school, it would be your ninth graders.
But it's just not gonna be, it's gonna be all the sixth graders and all the ninth
Yes,
graders in
ma'am.
those schools?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Well, I'd like to hear about how the meetings with parents are going. So please come back and share with us.
All right, and I'm sure they won't mind inviting you.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Always welcome, yes,
Okay.
thank you.
And so we have some principals here, so if you all can wave your hand, the ones that are committed to what we're doing. So
Ms.
Mr.
Smith.
Hall, if you want to speak.
I wanted to add, last year I came by myself and presented, and Dr. Keith said, why didn't the other schools have it? So what we did, we got together and we invited the other schools. So we had, because I had about 150 kids, and I think, if I'm right, and all of those kids came to that program, only the other one student that we had to end up sending to the alternative school. The rest of those kids stayed on track, and we monitored them the whole time. So it's a great thing. That's good. Talk about the program, going to the houses, we go with them. I went with mine, I encourage other principals to do the same thing. You wanna be seen in the community. So it's a great program.
I'm glad you stood up.
Well,
when it comes from you, it's not that I don't believe everybody, but,
Yes, it is, Lisa.
we have, well, I don't mean it's ugly, but I'm gonna say, we have principals that we would like to clone us. Now, go ahead, don't start, but I could clone, Stop.
Certainly, Ms.
I feel
Smith.
all bubbly.
I want to say this is really a wonderful program. I mean, just from what I've read and just listening to you present, to know that the boots on the ground will be there. But I did have one question. Will that also include our truancy officers that we have at the district level that will participate in the training and going out into the schools as well? And will this, and are they, is this also asking, not asking, but filling in as a filler to help truancy, because I know it's a small number of them. So, like if you
It's
just,
bridging that gap, and we're gonna work as collaborative thought partners with everyone that's involved with student support services and with those truancy officers to make sure, even with the parent liaison person, to make sure that we're all on the same page and meeting the needs of our families.
and my second question was, will parents be trained in it? You know, your parent liaisons, because to me, the best advocates are the people from the community. They talk about all the good stuff and can share what the program is and the resources that are available through it. So will there be an opportunity to include, okay.
So
Somebody
yes,
answer.
all of the schools will make sure that everyone is an integral part of this process. We wanna also make sure that when GPS goes out, they don't go out for GPS. They go out up under the umbrella of MPS and that particular school that they're representing within that community. So they will have people from the schools with them. So even though we know that they are our partner, but they are still working as thought partners with us in a collaborative manner on behalf of the school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that the principals know that the board members who service their area, even if they don't, that we work too, we're part of the village. So if we're needed, if we can help in any way, I know I speak for me and, Dr. Key, cause she did, I'm gonna say for herself.
I'm gonna have him cart you off, I swear I am.
Yes, please
Yes.
understand, we wanna be a part of that. And we, really, a quarterly report from you, Dr. Brown, would be excellent, cause I wanna hear all this good engagement in the community and with the parents.
Understand,
But they
thank you.
heard it from the horse's mouth, they're
I
all
agree.
here.
We do want you to know that you are welcome to come back and bring these updates. Thank you all so much. Are there additional questions or comments? Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Hall. Okay, the next item covers the Nearpod quote and board addendum. Nearpod, Sydney Sneed.
Thank you, Madam President, Dr. Brown, board members. I'm Sydney Hampton Sneed. I'm the Education Technology Coordinator here with MPS. I'm here to talk a little bit about Nearpod and what it does in our classrooms and how it impacts students. Nearpod lets the teachers make the lessons interactive. They can embed quizzes, polls, videos, collaborative boards, virtual field trips into their materials using Nearpod. Nearpod has standard-based lessons already for us that we can just pull down. We can modify those to help us better meet our needs and our students' needs, or we can create things from scratch using Nearpod. It also engages our students because we have that built-in support and it projects it out to their devices. So if I was running a Nearpod here and you joined my session, I would be driving your device. I could ask questions here, you're answering, and I'm getting results up on the board. So that way it cuts down on some of the classroom management issues we may have with driving the devices as well. And we see really good results when we have our teachers utilize it. There's also other programs within it, like collaborative boards where you can ask questions, and kids who maybe are scared to speak up in class, they'll put their answer in there because they're typing it up. So it can spark those classroom conversations. We can pull a kid up and say, hey, why did you think this? Or why did you give us this answer? So it gives those students, every student, an opportunity to participate and engage them with our learning. And I think Nearpod directly supports our mission of engaging, educating, and inspiring the students with its program.
Thank you. Other questions?
I actually went on this to look at it. It has a good parent side, cause it says free login, that's all that's free. But it's real affordable, and you can play games, you can do just what you said you could do, and the parents That's a good program on the back.
One thing I really like for the teachers, when they use the program, there is a nice report that comes out afterwards. I can take that and I can use that for my grade. I can see, I got those summative assessments I can do at the end, but I can also do formative assessments. And utilizing those formative assessments, it can really help drive my instruction. If I have this lesson pulled up, I can change my lesson on the fly. I can add a slide. I can go back in and say, hey, no, we need to watch a video on this to see a little bit more how this works. So that's one thing we really like about Nearpod.
Well, again, how are we letting our teachers get comfortable and teach them how to, I mean, a teacher's gonna use it if we make it so that they know how to use it.
Exactly. So we have done some virtual sessions in the past because we were mostly virtual doing that. We have done some virtual PD sessions. I know that our math coach this summer has decided to take it upon himself because math is always one of those sore spots when utilizing technology in the class. So they're coming in and all the secondary math teachers are coming in for a PD this summer with the Nearpod officials coming in. We also are offering a virtual session this summer for training as well. But Nearpod is really good about supporting us. They have monthly sessions where we can teach teachers about it. We always send that out and blast it. And one other thing we've done to encourage our teachers to use it is our top 10 users each month. We blast it out on the EdTech Twitter page. So it kind of gives them a shout out and encourages them to use it.
I was about to ask about feedback, so you're getting great feedback.
We are. We see. I think we've had it. You know, it's kind of spottily, but we've had really good usage. I think we've had like 459 or 457 active users as teachers right now. So that means 457 are actually using the program day in and day out. So that's a pretty good chunk of our teachers, but we definitely want to see this more and have them utilizing the lesson. So we're going to keep pushing it with PD.
And so this is a 3-year, we're getting it, it says 2-year subscription only for Nearpod, but we're looking at district, and we got year 1, year 2, year 3, so are we looking at 3 years? Anybody?
They gave us an option for a 2 or 3 year. There wasn't, probably a 2 year. But we
Okay.
wanted to have the continuity of the program so we can continue using it.
Well, but it also, the information here has year 3, I looked through here, it's, okay, it says.
This one is 2.
All right, 2-hour sessions up to 50 participants. Okay, how will we know who participates?
We will also be involved in those and we'll track usage, but we also are prepared as the EdTech team to do our own training for this. And we also utilize technology in motion as well to do some training for us. And with observations, we go through and we kind of watch and see. And we can there's usage data as well, broken down by school, and I see who my top users are and see where those sore spots are. So we can kind of reach out to the principals and say, hey, we would like to come in and demonstrate this during teacher planning periods, and we have done that before to some schools.
Well, again, I'd love to see you every quarter to see how it's going.
Awesome.
Just to come back and give us a report on how many, we want more than 400. Thank you.
So, Sydney, so if there's stuff, they'll call your department to help.
That's right.
And if any, hardware, or if they have any software problems, that's you too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So most of the time, any of the programming that teachers use, the clicking part, that's me.
Okay.
So,
Are there other questions or comments? Questions or comments?
I'm just getting giddy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Sneed. At this time, Community in Schools program, we have 2 job descriptions, Dr. Kathleen Williamson, and if you don't mind, we will pause for questions after each.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Brown, board members. If you recall, when we were together on last month, we talked about the exciting opportunity for our district with the Communities in Schools grant. Today I am bringing to you the 2 required jobs related to that grant. The first one is the program director. That will be a central office person dedicated to monitoring how we are implementing the Communities in Schools model within the 5 schools in our district. You see that as a part of that job, they are helping to conduct the needs assessment in each of those schools, as well as working with the site-based person for data input and data analysis. They will participate in the national session sponsored by communities in school, as well as customized sessions that will be provided for us as a district. Another main responsibility for this person is to help coordinate all of our efforts around MTSS, PBIS, SEL within the Communities in Schools model. This is a 240-day contract, and it is 100% funded out of the Communities in Schools grant.
Are there questions?
How long is your grant for?
3 years.
Comment.
I think you did a good job as far as anybody that can write grants and get grants.
I can't take credit for that part. Dr. Brown was masterful in part of his networks with other states and other districts, but I have been blessed with the opportunity to work on the inner workings of this, and I'm very excited about it for our district.
And one of the things that I liked about it, and thank you both, I mean, the fact that the coordinator will oversee the MTSS, the PBIS, the SEL, like, that's phenomenal. That speaks volumes.
Yes.
All right. The other one that, the other job description that you see is for the site coordinator. So each of these 5 schools will have to have a dedicated person, and if you recall, that is a requirement of the grant. This is an opportunity that we've never had before, both from a district level as well as from a school-based level, to be able to protect someone's time so that it's fully about how we integrate what happens with students around all of those pieces, MTSS, social emotional, PBIS, and making sure that we bring in those wraparound supports to support children who have been identified at risk. So the site director is responsible for helping with that school team, pull the data for the school, analyze that needs assessment, coordinate that data within their continuous improvement plan, input the data into the Communities in Schools database, as well as provide monthly and quarterly updates. So you'll see that as a part of both job descriptions, so that school teams as well as central office team is completely abreast of the progress that is being made within this model.
How many site coordinators? You said schools, and what schools? Do you know
We're still, I don't want to release the schools yet because a couple principals have not had an opportunity to respond yet. But there are 5 schools. We can go higher if we so choose. And remember, the grant is designed to be 5 schools added each year over 3 years. But as we add capacity within our district, we can go above and beyond that. And each school has a dedicated site coordinator, site director.
Are you targeting particular schools, middle, high, elementary?
We're working within a very targeted set of schools, but it does have a feeder component so that when students leave that elementary school, they will be working within a school. They will enter into a school that already has the Communities in School model at play.
That's what, okay, that helps me. So we're doing a feeder pattern.
Yes.
Other questions?
So, a school can identify students. How are they identified in the building for this site director to work with them?
So there are multiple ways. We'll actually post this job, but a school can determine that whomever is already their PBIS person that's doing a great job with using their data and identifying kidlets, that's the person that they would like to work in this capacity because they already have that relationship with children.
So this job will be in each of the schools that is designated?
Yes, ma'am.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
So this will not be a full-time person. It might be a teacher that takes on this.
No, ma'am. It has to be a full-time
Okay,
person.
that's what I wanted to make sure.
Yes.
So you can't have, let's say, a history teacher
No, ma'am.
doing this too.
Not
It's
unless they're gonna
full-time.
stop teaching history and do
Right,
this full-time.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a full-time position.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Other questions, comments? Thank you, Dr. Williamson.
Thank you.
March 2023 financial statement, Mr. Watts.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, Dr. Brown. You should have before you the financial statement for the month of March.
of 2023. Of course, the month of March represents one half of fiscal year 2023, so we're at the one half year point now. Within the financial statement, of course, you have the explanation of financial data. This is just my discussion about our financial position. The snapshot analysis is a brief synopsis of our financial position. I'll talk about that in just a second. Of course, the monthly budget percentages, as I stated, we're in the 6th month, which is the halfway point of fiscal year 2023. The monthly and annual comparative statement of revenues and expenditures, which is basically a month-to-date and year-to-date comparative statement of our revenues and expenditures this year compared to the prior year. A statement of cash flow, basically our cash received and cash paid during fiscal year 2023. Then, of course, there's a chart, pie chart or graph showing those cash inflows and outflows, and a combined balance sheet and a combined statement of revenues, expenditures, and change in fund balance, which is basically an income statement. As it relates to our snapshot analysis, we would note that it is the first tab. We would note that we have revenues thus far for fiscal year 2023 of about $140 million, expenditures at about $129 million, and a total fund balance right now of about $95.8 million. Of course, our expenditures as a percent of budget is at about 53%. Usually, we will be at around 50%, because 50% will be a half year, so we notice that those expenditures are up a little bit. That is due to, we went ahead and transferred the $5 million, as I stated, the $5 million to that capital replacement account. We transferred the $2 million into the technology replacement account, and we have paid for this fiscal year about $5.2 million in our capital, VOCR capital plan. And we'll be recouping all of those monies back after we let the bonds for the capital plan. And of course, as you know, we'll start receiving those tax dollars, ad valorem tax dollars, beginning in November. But of course, as you know, we already got architects doing drawings and engineering and soil and all these kinds of things that we've expended about $5.2 million thus far. And again, we'll be receiving those monies back as soon as we let those bonds. As of March of 2022, our fund balance was at about $88.4 million. Again, as of current March 2023, fund balance at about $95.8 million. Madam President.
Thank you very much. You will continue to talk with us. At this time, we're listening for payroll department compensation.
Yes, ma'am.
Roll it back. I do apologize. Are there questions?
I just wanted to clarify for whatever me. We're obviously 7 million over what we were last year. But I want to know that, am I right to say that did not include the increase in property taxes?
It does not include that.
So going forward, we should only keep increasing.
It would get better, but of course, but let's keep in mind that we do have a lot of those monies allocated for certain priorities. For example, we're planning on bringing in an arts or music teacher for every student. This will be for fiscal year 2024. And those, when we start receiving those tax dollars, it begins in October, which is the first month of fiscal year 2024. So we have certain priorities. Also, this is what we stated to the public, that we'll provide an art or music teacher for each of our schools. We'll have foreign language in several of our schools. We'll have just an array of things in the various schools. So we will have some expenditures that will go against these new revenues that will be coming in.
But you said like October, this time next year, any additional funds that we're making obviously is coming from the property tax.
That's correct.
Okay.
Are there additional questions or comments regarding the financial statement? Thank you. Hearing none, now if you don't mind, sir, payroll compensation.
Yes, ma'am. I provided some information to all board members regarding our payroll department comparable to other payroll departments throughout the state. And the only reason I did that at this particular time was because I'm losing my payroll department constantly. I've had 4 people to leave over the last couple of years, and I have a payroll director here. And so we've been having problems, just getting payroll done, having to ask folk to come back from jobs that they're working now to help us complete payroll. And so I wanted to try to go ahead and do the study and ask the board if they would please consider bringing our payroll department up to a level where current districts are at this particular time. As you know, we're doing a salary study throughout the district right now, and of course, the superintendent will be presenting that at some point. But we've been really focusing mainly on safety and security. That's been the major thing. That's why we went on did security early on about a few months ago. And of course, we'll probably be talking about food service at some point. But again, the payroll department, everybody want to get paid, when they work. And so we want to make sure that people are getting paid, and I'm having problems getting payroll done in a timely manner because our people are leaving they're leaving for positions in the district and positions outside of the district. That is because of our salary schedule. It's about 4 people in the payroll department currently, and the number of things that they have to do, that the confidentiality and all these other things. Not to say that all employees do not work hard, because they do, but payroll department, we got to get employees paid. We got to make sure that we're meeting court deadlines and all these other things. So I ask that you consider that. And I think you have that comparative data comparable to other school districts.
What we're looking at here, we have the documents from those other districts, and then a summary sheet. Is that that sheet that we were looking at?
Yes, ma'am.
It looks good, thank you. Are there questions?
Just a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for what you're doing for that department. I know through the years of sitting on the board, I've actually heard some conversations about it. And your justification in the summary was well written, well spelled out, so that we can understand how important it is to go ahead and address that. So just wanted to say thank you for that. And of course, it's easy to support based off of that justification.
Yes, ma'am. And if I may just say just a couple other things, Madam President, about the salary study. Because I want to ensure that everybody understand that, yes, we're doing a salary study. Yes, our salaries are not as compatible to a lot of other districts, and we'll be able to to show all of this. But at the same time, I do want all of the public to understand that as we approach this process, let's just say that a person is currently making $30,000 a year, and throughout all the other places, it's $40,000 a year. Well, we won't be able to give that $10,000 increase right off. We may have to do a certain percentage, and then we're gonna have to do it based on what we can afford. I wanna see exactly how those ad valorem taxes dollars are coming in. I wanna see exactly what our expenditures are, what things we're cutting off, what things we're increasing, and so forth. So we're gonna take it, in a very, very scientific and incremental manner. We wanna make sure that whatever we do, we can afford it, and it's gonna be reoccurring, and it's something that we don't have to go back on. So I just wanted to put that out there, if that makes sense.
Thank you for that information. Are there other questions or comments? Seeing none, is it Aubrey Partnership?
Thank you so much, Madam President. We'll talk a little bit about Aubrey. The partnership here is actually, the timing's really good. We talked a lot tonight about data sources and reports and when they would be coming back. I have a tool that gives us all of those things. So we were recommending a 3-year contract with Aubrey to provide a universal data platform, allowing us to monitor, respond to, and report out on our data in a unified and organized fashion. This will be a vehicle that is accessible to staff, students, families, parents, and the community, which also will integrate with our PowerSchool, allowing us to have a powerful tool for change management and accountability. This will be a one-stop shop that consolidates all of our data into one place, allowing for real-time insights into the whole child, if you will. We want to take steps to get as many people involved in our student success as possible, and this tool provides us with an opportunity to have the data to do that, and folks who need that data available to them can access it. That will be taken care of out of ESSER funds, and it is a 3-year contract.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions of Dr. Brown?
Dr. Brown, will this be in, other languages? Will this be in Spanish also?
Yes, we'll be able to get many of those documents translated, and it will triangulate all of our data sources.
Other questions? Other questions? Okay. Hearing none, we have completed the updates and informational items. At this time, are there new business items to be brought before the body?
Yes, I have a few new business items. May I speak, please?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm really, okay, all right, I've been looking at the certified report, and I understand that that's what's gonna happen, but I would really like to look at our principals in a way that we do a summary of their individual merit of growth. That's in academics, behavior, attendance, both students and teachers, to include the principals. And I think that we need to do a summary, a snapshot of the merit of growth for our principals to see, to celebrate their achievements, to help them, to work with them in those areas that are not as what we would want them to be. But I'd really like to ask, could we please start looking at the school leaders in a merit of growth situation? And also, I would really like to see if we could possibly have our principal meetings outside of the regular day school, because they need to be in the schools. I know these meetings are important, and I'd like to see a list of when these principal meetings take place. And like here's the times and the dates and the places that our principal's gonna be, because it's so important for our principals to be in the school building. They are the school leader, and they need to be there. And I would really like for you to keep into consideration that they need to be during the school day in the schools. And then maybe from 3 to 4 o'clock, after that, have your principal meetings. That's my new business request, and think
Would you like to respond to that?
I can. I mean, much of what we do from a professional development standpoint is what takes place in those meetings, and we've talked here ad nauseum about job-embedded PD. Bringing principals in after school wouldn't be conducive to doing job-embedded PD. In addition, it would be additional funds to have them come after their contract time. We make sure we have assistant principals who are tooled up and ready to take their stead in buildings when principals are out for those meetings and they're in district, so we don't have them going anywhere. If they have an opportunity or need to go back to a building, that's available to them. So from a job-embedded PD standpoint, we would like to continue with the current model. Happy to share what that schedule looks like. But that model is effective, and I think our principals would agree that that collaborative time is really, really important in terms of what job-embedded PD should look like.
Well, some of our elementary schools don't have assistant principals, so that's what.
But they cover for each other, Ms. Cloud.
Okay, well, I just thank you, because I'm looking at our principals, like I said, for merit of growth, and that would be something that we could celebrate with them or help them as a community, but thank you.
I do.
Thank you.
Dr. Brown, do you have, I know when I was at Lee or whatever, that's been 12 years ago, that principals did go to these meetings. They're not that many a month, are they? Or
They're one per month.
One, oh, it's just one per month? Okay, that's what I wanna know. I mean, I understand, Ms. Cloud, what you're saying, but like I said, I do think, I didn't know that it was just that amount of times, but one time a month, you would want to meet. And I was under the impression, like you were, that it may have been multiple.
That's what I was concerned about.
Okay.
Once a month is more than gracious and more than fine, but, the importance of them being in the school is my concern.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that.
I would add also with our secondary principals, particularly in middle school and high school, they have after-school responsibilities for activities that they have to be at as well, so that would preclude them from attending meetings after school.
Thank you. I have, I think maybe a question before I can bring it up as a real item for discussion. Do we have, because I looked for partnership policies, and I only saw the affiliated organizations in item 3.16.2, and that was dealing with fiscal management of our affiliated organizations. And my concern has to do with a request that we've received to present a family school partnership school board policy. And I'm trying to see where such a policy will fit. The policy, the model policy looks great. It's not anything that we would refuse, but at this time, where does this, do we already have partnership information in our guidelines? The policy manual that I looked at today, I didn't find.
To my knowledge, we don't have a firm policy per se in regard to that. I'd love to be able to see that and see where we can make that fit.
Absolutely. I will make this available to board members as well as central office staff. Are there other new business items to be brought before the board?
Just one. I know I mentioned the PTA earlier, but is there, and it's probably going to go along the lines of what you were talking about with partnerships, but are we, just to encourage our schools and principals to include PTAs in all of our schools to go along with that parental engagement piece that we just heard about today?
Yes.
So that's, okay.
Whatever that may look like for
Yeah.
individual schools.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'd just like to mention one thing. We don't have to do it today, but I would like to go on record as saying that I would like to look at our recruitment and our retention policies that we have for qualified, for new teachers coming in and things like that. Even our, that, I just want to know what we are doing.
Procedures,
Yes.
not policies. Okay.
Right.
Prior to ours, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that'd be great. Add to it, girl.
I have one thing done.
We have a great partnership down here in 1 and 2, I can tell. Thank you. Go ahead.
Since there is no old business, the new business that we put on last month is that, do we know where that is? Because I just wanna add again to the possibility of advertising for an attorney for the board.
I can give an update on the new business items if you'd like. I'll go one by one. We talked about a better microphone system, and we addressed that in the meeting as far as what the new building would look like. We had a discussion about the arboretum and the use of that. We're initiating conversations in conjunction with Mr. Anderson in regard to that. We talked about exit slips and data per school. That has been provided. We talked about a volunteer hotline, which we are looking to incorporate in our new website when all those things get launched for the new school year. We talked about a retreat and a Board of Education training. I believe President Coleman has that in process, as well as the committee assignments and what those might look like. In-house attorney, we're looking at starting that process after graduation within the next 2 weeks. We provided summer school information, and we said in citizens' comments follow-up, we would do that in the succeeding board meeting.
That's right, I would've failed your class. I can't write nor think that fast, but I got it. Thanks.
The old business is the business that is being taken care of on our agenda each month. And we don't list it as old business, but that's where we take care of that business. And most of those questions we did resolve either we discussed at that last meeting, and or some of it was mentioned in the weekly communications that we received. So I do apologize for not putting any of those items on the agenda, but I remembered at the last minute and gave the superintendent a call. So thank you very much for your question. Are there other items? Again, thank you, members of the board. Being that there is no further business, this work session is adjourned, and we will move into our regular meeting. The The regular meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Education will come to order. Good evening, and again, thank you, those in the gallery, for joining us this evening. Do remember to mute all electronic devices. There are 7 members present. I declare that there is a quorum present. The agenda was posted for us and has been available for review. We have copies at our desk. If there is no objection, we will adopt our agenda by unanimous consent. Is there objection? Is there objection? Hearing none.
Before you take the vote, I need to add one thing on the personnel report, certified personnel. I need to pull number 15. Yes, uncertified.
And you say item 15?
That's item 9A, pull number 15.
Hold on. You said 9A?
Uh-huh.
That's the item on the agenda.
Oh,
Number 15.
I'm sorry. Okay. Number 15.
Yes.
Recognizing that we do have one change, do we have any objection to approving the revised agenda? Hearing no objection, the agenda is approved. A few remarks. We have reached the month of May. May is filled with scores of reasons to celebrate. This is a time to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islanders heritage, as well as Jewish American heritage. Last Friday, many in our community celebrated Cinco de Mayo. This month and every day, we salute our nurses. We celebrate Nurses Week, and today, May 9th, is National Teachers Day. Additionally, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and next week we will celebrate the graduation of hundreds of our young scholars. As we honor teachers and nurses, let us be aware of the mental well-being of our students and our staff. Be aware of the warning signs for mental health problems and how to promote healthy prevention habits at school as well as at home. We encourage our education family to turn to the principals, school nurses, psychiatrists, psychologists, school social workers, whenever you have questions or concerns. We sincerely thank our educators and our healthcare professionals. District personnel will promote this month, as reported to us, with banners and signs at our various schools and central office locations. Through a grant opportunity from the Montgomery, Alabama chapter of the Links Incorporated, our mental health activities will occur, some mental health activities will occur at Dozier, McIntyre, and Capitol Heights schools. Mr. Willie Spears will host assemblies on conflict resolution in all 3 of those schools, and a parent resource fair will be incorporated at Dozier. Additionally, with that grant, resources will be provided to the school counselor from Mr. Spears's collection. And yes, commencement season is upon us. All across our fair city, graduates are getting ready to don their caps and gowns, celebrate their remarkable achievements, and embark on their next adventures. Let us celebrate them and continue to encourage them to be the best that they can be. Oh, the places you will go. We hope that each will stay focused and move forward with courage and with hope. Having applauded our graduates, I'd like to give you a few other board highlights. 2 MPS students have received the Hitchcock Award from the YMCA of Greater Montgomery. Joshua May is a senior at Carver High School. Joshua plays football, basketball, and track and has a 4.3 GPA. Joanna Joyner is a senior at Lamp. Joanna's primary sport is softball, and Joanna has maintained a 3.9 GPA. Let's have a round of applause for these 2 scholar athletes. The Equal Justice Initiative last week honored 19 MPS students as legacy scholars. Each of these scholars will receive $10,000 scholarships upon graduation. This is an ongoing program that will continue to provide scholarships over the next 3 years. This year's legacy scholars are Alberta Schufert, Elnijah Watley, Andrea Smith, Braden Stallworth, Daryl Dees, Elizabeth Diaz, Erin Robinson, Jamario Robinson, Joshua May, Kentavis Delbridge, Landon Townsend, Marty Bain, Micaiah Portis, Molly Mitchell, Paris Banks, Samantha Buchanan, Shaquila Walton, Shalea Lee, and Tiana Van Buren. Congratulations to those scholars. Absolutely. We have a few more. In addition to winning the Hitchcock Award and the Legacy Scholarship, Joshua May also has been named as a Gates Scholar. Joshua is one of 750 students nationwide out of 51,000 applicants to receive this honor.
That's great.
Another round of applause. Congratulations are in order to Booker T. Washington Sr., Kenley Lauren Christia Barnes, who has been accepted to 47 colleges and universities and has received more than $1 million in scholarship offers. Congratulations, Kenley. Park Crossing Jr. Evan Bowman recently was named Mr. Botillion by the Montgomery chapter of the Jack and Jill Foundation of America. Congratulations, Evan. And congratulations are in order to several Floyd Middle Magnet athletic teams. Floyd recently won the softball, tennis, and baseball championships. Floyd has also won championships in volleyball and 7th and 8th grade boys basketball. The City Council and Mayor Stephen Reed recently recognized the 7th grade team for their undefeated season. Thank you. At this time, Ms. Jade Jones will present other recognitions. Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, and Dr. Brown. Again, I want to take a moment to recognize all of our educators in district. This is Teacher Appreciation Week, and without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So we need to, well, not need, but I would like for us to give teachers another round of applause for what they do every day. Along with that, I do have a few thank yous, Madam President, if I may. I'd like to thank our partners in education over at Alabama State University for welcoming us back to the Acadome for commencement. We will be inside, thank goodness. So, yeah. And as you can see our schedule here on the screen, we are looking forward to seeing our scholars walk across the stage. And again, a huge thank you to EJI for our scholars and also the teacher cohort that just completed that course. So again, another round of applause to EJI. I do have some special guests, if we can bring them on in. Here they are. Come on. These are my friends. Come on, guys. Come right this way. Yep. Yes, please. Madam President, I am so thrilled and honored to one. Yeah, come on in. Is that the teachers? Yeah, y'all all is one big student. Oh, you're fine. Come on. I think we have the whole team here. This is a great group. Madam President, a few months ago, MGM Works reached out to us to connect us to the airmen from Air University, the Innovation Research Task Force. And out of that conversation came a brilliant idea to have about 15 students from Brubaker Middle to participate in a leadership day where they were able to work on team building skills and really build their confidence in leadership. And we couldn't have done it without them. And it's the start to a beautiful, beautiful partnership. And a few of them are leaving, and I feel like I may cry, but it's okay. I'm actually going to have Wes come up and say a few words, but I want them to share a little bit about this program and how it's turned out. So come on.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say how thankful we are for Ms. Jones and for the teachers and administrators at Brubaker Middle School for helping us put on this awesome event. You know, our vision is to really connect Air University with the students at Montgomery Public Schools. At Maxwell, we bring in hundreds, if not thousands, of people from all over the country, all walks of life, all different type of backgrounds. What I really want to see is a genuine connection between who we're bringing in from all over the country and with the students here. And so we're going to continue this partnership and really grow it, but really thankful for Brubaker as well. And I just wanted to toss it over to Colonel Artis here. I wanted him to share a testimony of how a similar program that he went through really helped change his course and his life.
Hey, thank you all for your time, for letting us come up here and just share a few words about this program. I just want to say, personally, growing up in Dallas, Texas, there weren't a whole lot of options for folks like me. The statistics to actually leave Dallas, at least the part of Dallas that I grew up in, were very low. And so, you know, there was a teacher who always noticed in middle school, this quiet, shy boy that was always just avoiding going to lunch. I would always find the darkest classroom, just go sit in. And one day they just pulled me aside and said, hey, we got this program that's starting up. We're grabbing students from all over the city of Dallas, and we would just like you to be a part of it. And I would tell you, if it wasn't for folks like West, Dealer, and John, and the teachers, faculty members, believing in students like me and putting something like that together, I don't know where I would be at in life. It instilled in me skills early on, like networking, having empathy, followership, that has led me to be the man that I am today. And I just want to tell you that I am inspired and excited to see a program like this starting up here, and hopefully we can continue this going. And like I said, from personal experience, it really helped mold the man that you all see in front of you all today. And so I won't keep going because I know I'll probably get emotional, but thank you all for letting us take care of your students, the future leaders of tomorrow, and hopefully we can keep this going. So thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have our principal say a few words. And we also have a student here with us tonight. I don't want to put you on the spot. Come on. You want to tell us a little bit about what happened on April 18th? You can? Okay, tell us your name. Speak into the mic.
Good afternoon. My name is Morris Provo, and this is my takeoff for the field trip. I learned to work together as a team. Teamwork makes the dream work, and it's fun to learn with each other.
Absolutely.
It's my honor to see Morris here today to represent the 15 students that went to Air University and this partnership. Each of them has something so special inside of them, and to see it nurtured and honored by people in our community and people that they've honestly looked up to. Who doesn't want to fly a plane? And here you are with pilots who fly fighter jets and able to learn from them some of the skills of teamwork and leadership that they can bring back into our school. And it has been such a boon for our community since this occurred for these students to see themselves as future leaders and to step up in their leadership just a little bit more. So I look forward to seeing this continue to grow and continue to develop within our community.
Madam President, Superintendent Brown, I'm very happy to announce that this is not the end, this is the beginning. The Air University has stood up within this Air University Accelerator, a program by the name of Pella. Pella is the birthplace of Alexander the Great, for folks that are familiar with that region of the country. But we look at that good STEM-based exposure and education mixed with leadership can really impact our students across the board. So we are committed to continuing that. You'll see this summer, our summer flight program. We'll have over 75 students going up and flying as a part of this trip. We asked the students how many folks wanted to fly, and about 80% of those students raised their hand. And so we're committed to making that happen. So not only will you see flight programming, you'll see other STEM-based programming, and not just coming to the Air University, but true outreach. We want to go out to the community and meet people where they are. And we have our Director of Education here that'll be leading that project for us across the board, Praxium, Mr. Jeremy Van Egmans, and he's coming out of the Pike Road school system, but he'll be joining us and helping leading that. And another initiative that we have is the Classroom of the Future. We want to take the best and brightest technology that we have, that not only our Air University students utilize, but to make that available to the community and to elevate all of us along the way. So we're very excited and we're very thankful for this off-ramp and this on-ramp to continue this work that you guys have started. So thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. And we also want to thank our teachers from Brubaker Middle. Who do we have with us tonight? Ms. Martin and Ms. Dolly Jones. Thank you all so much. And again, just give them another round of applause. And as we prepare for a quick picture with our board members, we'll have you all shift to the center. And board members, if you'll join for a quick picture.
Madam President, can I make one comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Just one comment.
Dr. King.
If there was any part of today that I would like to repeat, it is this part. And I have to say this. I just gave a final exam today, and y'all go, what did that have to do with your exam? We watched Top Gun after the exam, and it's such a killer movie. But I want to say to artists, I wished I'd known what you were going to say, because I would have taped you. You always get that one or two students that are afraid to get up in front of public, and just for what you said, I wish I could go take one and this time tape it and do take two, because it was absolutely awesome. I'm very proud of all of y'all. Very, very proud. I think we all are.
So we'll have everybody here in the center for a quick picture. And as they're coming to take their picture, I just want to say thank you, Colonel Jonathan Baroli, Lieutenant Colonel John Artis, Lieutenant Colonel Dealer Goldsmith, and Major Wes Fulfiller as being a part of our team. And thank you all so much for working with our students over at Brubaker Middle.
Thank you. Ms. Jones?
Madam President, I think that's it for me tonight.
All right, thank you very
Yes, ma'am.
much. At this time, one person has signed up for comments. It seems that the person wants to speak about our scheduled comments and our citizens' comments. Is there a Ms. Davis?
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Madam President, Board, Dr. Brown. So I'll start and actually when I spoke with the security officer, it was, I listed 3, but number 9, not a specific person, but according to your bylaws, it's about the general procedure. So that's what I'll be speaking on for my 3 minutes.
Procedures relative to?
Personnel, inconsistent procedures with personnel issues. Nothing specific. I was a former superintendent. I've read your policy manual. There are no names. But procedures and policies that you, the board, have approved. So, or I'll be happy to share it without.
We're not discussing our procedures tonight on our agenda, though. But go ahead. Let's see.
Okay. Just briefly, now, again, I'm here to talk about just to share my concern. Because I've tried to follow, as Article 4 in your bylaws say, to speak with several people at the office. As a former superintendent, I know the importance of their time, but I got a card from somebody as I showed up, sent texts and emails, and so I can just tell you that is a concern. But also, again, not addressing anything specific, but I've sat there with board members. I've dealt with HR issues. I've dealt with grievances, complaints, mediation, EEOCs, lawsuits, all of them. And I know that there's no easy fix. But if you don't give your employees due diligence and due process, that money that you're going to spend for your board attorney instead of the classrooms, it's not fair. When you're not giving the same rights to all employees. And so specifically with board policy, I read the whole board policy. It looks a lot like the one I had when I was a superintendent just 6 years ago. Section 4.9, Section 4.12, Section 5.8, Section 5.14, and Section 5.15. And I have listed the specific things there that are concerns, but I will not. I've given you the items, and I'll be happy to share them. But if you want to speak, I also know I tried to keep this out of the board meeting because this was the one thing that I always hated. I wanted people to come and speak with me instead of bringing it so that I could update and let the board members know what was going on, but I wasn't afforded that. And so also one of the things I'm looking for to make sure that there may be a procedure or guidance manual that's not posted. I know in addition to policies that sometimes there are administrative guidance and procedure manuals, but I did not see that. So if there is, and I missed that, I do apologize. But I've learned throughout my career, I'm retired now, both students and employees must be provided with equal opportunities. I've also learned that once some of those complaints are officially filed, it's hard for them to go away because they're going to find something else. I've been there, trust me. And so I just would like for you to look into the concerns, because not only have employees been turned away, current employees, but members of the public. And I am a member of Montgomery County and a concerned, citizen. So I thank you for your time and for allowing me to. And also, I'm glad that I'm not sitting in your seats anymore. And thank you. My name's Dr. Elizabeth Davis. Thank you.
Madam President.
Thank you. And I apologize for not calling your name, Dr. Davis. Thank you.
Madam President.
Yes.
If you could, I don't know why I may not have understood you correctly, but I think you said you could not get a hold of us board members. Did you say that?
No, ma'am, I never would contact a board member. No, central direct supervisors. Okay. No, I would never contact a board member without, just because I never wanted that to happen to me.
Thank you very much.
Is there any way you could send us those specific Cause all that was numbers and letters to me, cause I don't know what you're talking about. I'd like to see.
Sure, and
Because that is.
Or would you repeat them, please? I'm sorry,
Yep.
I didn't
Yes,
catch those.
sorry,
Ms.
I
Cloud
had,
would.
sure, yes,
and
I was,
can-
I had my
She doesn't
3-minute
miss a
timer
beat.
set.
Yeah, she doesn't miss a beat.
4.1, 4.9, 4.12, 5.8, 5.14, and 5.15.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Now, you said you didn't want to be specific. Is there a problem with these, or that's what you're saying, there's a problem with these that we need to review? Because I didn't hear.
There are just some concerns with inconsistencies in how those are implemented for all MPS employees. And for one of them, there's mention of members of the public. And so, yes. Yes,
And
ma'am.
additionally, when she signed in, she did give us her phone number.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes, so
That was-
someone can follow up with you.
Okay.
Thank
Yes, ma'am.
you. Okay, at this time, we are at our consent agenda. Dr. Brown.
That's for Ms. Jones, make sure that's covered. Madam President, I'd like to recommend the approval of the consent agenda.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as provided by the superintendent.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that the recommendation of the superintendent be approved. And this is for items A through P. Is there discussion? Is there discussion?
I don't, the only thing I want to just make sure, because I don't have it in front of me, I took it down, moving it, but the certified's not on this.
No.
Okay, no, I'm fine.
Okay. Hearing no discussion, we're ready to take the vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, let it be known by raising your hands. It is unanimous. Thank you. We are at item, it is 9. I have 3 different agendas in front of me. Please forgive me. Item 9.
Madam President, I'd like to recommend the approval of personnel report certified personnel.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation.
Okay, is there discussion? No discussion, it has been moved. No, she's moving. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the personnel report certified. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your hands. Five, two. Dr. Brown.
Madam President, I'd like to recommend the approval of personnel report classified personnel.
You have heard the recommendation of the superintendent. Is there a motion? Is there discussion? Forgive me. Is there discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Madam President, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the certified personnel report.
Is there a second?
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the superintendent's recommendation of approving or adopting the personnel report, classified personnel. All those in favor, raise your hands. It is unanimous.
Madam Chair, if you will, there was one thing that I forgot to mention. And consider for approval, A, personnel report, certified personnel to pool number 15, just so that'll be 9A. 9A.
we'd be covered because we adjusted the agenda at the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, though. Thank you very much. Okay. That has been adopted as well. Again, thank you, everyone, for your participation, for your attendance. Our next meeting date is June 13th at 5 o'clock for our,
Are you gonna mention Dr. Brown's son? Are you gonna mention his son?
Congratulations. Congratulations.
thank you. Dr. Brown, it has been brought to our attention that before we close out today, there are some congratulations in order. Would you like to make an announcement about your son?
Oh, no.
Well, we would like to congratulate you and your son. His son is graduating from law school, and we think that deserves your attention.
Madam President,
He is graduating from Notre Dame. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your indulgence. This meeting is adjourned.